it's too hard. Like a part of me was just like, this is too hard. I know, because I know the amount of work it's going to take, and just the complexity here is just, it's just out of control complicated.
It is not very often that I see a Bible that I feel is truly so unique and different. And this one is. This is the Connecting Scripture Study Bible from Lifeway. It is fantastic. And I've talked to the publisher. Lifeway is giving away 3 copies, letting me give away. You can enter below, of their blue leather touch edition. But I reached out to them to see if they wanted to do a giveaway and to see if anybody wanted to talk about it. And Ben Glad, one of the guys that was actually instrumental, was the guy with the original idea for this Bible that really helps make that connection in the New Testament to Old Testament quotations as well as Old Testament allusions, just when it's referring to an idea in the Old Testament. And it is truly a fantastic resource to have. So I got a chance to sit down with Ben Glad and hear about where this idea came from, and kind of some funny things about how this idea originally landed in the publisher's spam folder, and kind of how this whole thing came about and how to make the most of it. So watch this interview and then enter to win a copy in the links below. Well, Ben Glad, thank you so much for being here on Bible Talk. It's good to meet you.
Yes. Thanks so much, Keith, for having me on.
Yeah. So you have been part of the team that has put together this brand new Connecting Scripture Bible, and I got to say that I've seen some really cool Bibles. It's not very often that I see a Bible that I feel like the way the Bible itself is structured and the notes and the pages is just simply different and unique. And so when I was just going to do a review, I reached out to the team and said, "Hey, if anybody from the team wants to come and talk about it." And they're like, "Oh, well, we got one of the guys who's one of the guys that helped create it. So let's talk." And so I just really love what you've done with it. It's really cool.
Yeah. So yeah, thanks so much. I mean, you open it up and it reads differently. I mean, we had spent several years putting it together, and then when I finally got the proofs, right? So when you write a book or write anything like that, you submit it, you go back and forth. There are these rounds of edits, but the exciting part is when the proofs come back and you see it for what it is. Now, what's unique, this is my first Bible that I've done, so I wasn't sure about all the steps because it's a little different. With Bibles, so they're printed in China. Most people actually don't know this, but almost all the Bibles that they use, if they're not purchased at a dollar store, pretty much they're reading a Bible from China. So the proofs are shipped to me via air freight from China, because they have to be printed over there, and then they're shipped to me at my house. And so when I opened them up, when I finally saw the proofs, I was blown away, because the experience was very different from a Word document, right? So the font, the blue and the green font were there, everything was in play. And then I had to read it a couple times to proof it, but it was great. It's just an amazing experience. I don't think I've ever read a Bible quite like this.
Yeah. I definitely haven't. And so to give a context to people that are hearing us talk about this unique Bible and blue and green and different and all that, give somebody the overview of what is the Connecting Scripture Bible.
Yeah, so the idea is to show readers the Old Testament influence on the New Testament, but to do it in an easy way, in a way that's catchy, in a way that's engaging. So I grew up with a Bible in our house. I had my own Bible. I mean, I come from a conservative Christian family, and so we had Bibles everywhere. And I was always puzzled at these. I didn't even know what they were called, but they were cross references, and I didn't really know how to do them. They're really small. They're really tiny. And then as I got older, I said, "Oh, well, they're there to help me figure out how this passage connects to a different passage." But when you try to sort that out, it's exceptionally difficult. And that's just how it is. That's just how these cross references work. It's been like this for over 100 years. So I grew frustrated with this, and I was like, now you have to understand, I'm a New Testament guy. I'm not like, there's a whole field of authors who do study Bibles, who are in that world. I am not part of that world. I'm part of a different field. And in my world, we are very much into Old Testament allusions and quotations in the New Testament and studying those connections. But I'm like, but how can I make this easier for people? So I had come up with I had some ideas. I started contacting publishers. B&H or Lifeway was the first one to say, hey, we think that there's something really here. And this, we went back and forth. It took a lot of work to figure it out. And so now we came up with this way of embedding connections, not just in the margins to the Old Testament, but in the text itself. This is, I think, kind of a breakthrough that when you open up the New Testament, this Connecting Scripture Study Bible, you can see in a passage the Old Testament language in exact words in green. So green we use, it signals an allusion. Allusion is just simply a subtle connection, an indirect reference to the Old Testament. So most of the time allusions come in clusters. 2 or 3, they tend to just pop up together. So you open it up and you can see all of these allusions. There are right around 3,000 allusions, Old Testament allusions in the New Testament. 3,000, that's a lot.
That's one of the things that amazed me is how much color there was.
3,000. I mean, you open up, so the 2 dominant books are Matthew and Revelation. Revelation has the most. And it's just incredible. In Revelation, you have in a single verse 2 or 3 allusions. I mean, it's that dense. Now, quotations, people are used to quotations. So the ESV, I think, puts them in quotation marks. The CSB does bold font. NASB, I think, does uppercase. That's how they signal quotations. So people are accustomed to those. But there are only about 350 of those in the New Testament. So look at the stats.
Yeah.
350 quotations, 3,000 allusions. See that? What that tells us is, and scholars have known this and have said this for a long time, that New Testament writers, the apostles, they prefer to allude to the Old Testament rather than quote it. That's just their knee-jerk reaction. That's what they prefer to do instead of quoting it. But people don't know that. Your average churchgoer, I mean, unless they're absolutely steeped in the Old Testament, they're going to miss a lot of these connections. I think they're going to have some sense of it, but I think they are going to miss it. So what we've tried to do is just be very explicit here. Here are the connections that exist, but just to do it in a way that's palatable, in a way that's accessible and easy for people.
Right, and I'll put some screenshots of the pages so people can see what we're talking about. But this idea of the blue quotes being people just as you're reading along. Like when I got it a few weeks ago, I sat down and read Hebrews. That is filled with both. I knew that Hebrews had a lot of Old Testament quotations. I wanted to see how it was, and I was just amazed at how, as I'm reading Hebrews, the quotations, which you said, so many people are familiar with, but then all the allusions that just allude to ideas and concepts and things that these readers would have been significantly more familiar with than your average, 2025, 2026 English
That's
speaker.
right.
So
That's right.
So I love that and the way that and I also like it that in addition to just reading it and seeing the blue and the green embedded right there in the text, so it's just kind of, oh, this is an Old Testament reference, that you then have content on the bottom of the page and to the side where people can even go deeper with that. So
we've got a commentary.
Tell us a little bit more about that.
So,
and maybe I'll have a screenshot so that people can see what we're talking about.
Yeah. So when I approached Lifeway with my idea of how to do this, I was not thinking study Bible. I was thinking, can I just make it easier for people to use cross references and to chart this? That's what I was thinking. And they were like, well, hey, we like your idea. Let's make it better. Let's just go ahead and do a study Bible. And I was like, oh, well, that's doable. That's actually easier than my project. We can actually combine both projects. I just had assumed that a publisher would not want to do a New Testament study Bible. In fact, it's one of the odd things about this is it's a New Testament study Bible. It's always, well, where's the Old Testament? You see, it's you know, I mean, that's why we're trying to do the Old Testament, but it's a New Testament study Bible, but it's more than a study Bible. It's the text itself. We have tried to flag for these Old Testament connections. Yeah, so we have a study Bible. So we have study notes at the bottom of the text that explain many of these connections. You don't have the space to talk about 3,000 of them, of course. Right. But we do have a steady guide that shows that this is how we do it. In fact, Keith, at the beginning of the project, beginning of the study Bible, Greg Beal and I wrote, it's this introduction to the entire study Bible. It's maybe 10 or 15 pages. I can't remember how long it is. But we really try to distill, this is how it's working. This is what's going on. Here are categories for you to think about as you use this study Bible. As you work through the text, this is what you need to keep in mind. So if this whole enterprise is probably new for some people, I suspect it is even for most. Mm-hmm. If it's new, just take 20 minutes, 15 minutes and read the introduction to the project. And I think it'll be very eye-opening.
I totally agree. And that's exactly what I did. Even though conceptually I understood what quotations and allusions were and how those were different, and I could just go look at the color coding and make sense of it. And I've obviously looked at a ton of different study Bibles and reviewed a lot of them and that kind of thing. But I just was like, I want to see what their mindset and approach was going into that. And I found those 10 pages at the beginning invaluable. I mean, they really, really, to just get the most out of it. I feel like somebody's cheating themselves if they just go, oh, I'm just going to look up how my favorite passage reads in this.
Yeah.
They're just missing out on how good it could be and is.
That's right.
So that's
it's going to be hard. I've thought about how we're going to do it for the Old Testament, how we're going to introduce it, and it's more complicated. But I'm going to have to do another introduction. We'll actually probably just expand the New Testament. My guess is that we'll just take what we've done for the New Testament and just expand it and just make it more palatable to the Old Testament. But yeah, please, when you pick up just a regular book, read the introductions, read the preface, get familiar with the terrain before diving in. It just helps the process,
especially because it really is unique. I mean, you might open up the page and go, "Oh, I've seen Bibles that have text here and some stuff, numbers here, whatever." But what they are and where they are and how they tie in, just understanding the rhythm of it is
right.
That's right. Really good. It's really good.
That's right.
So you mentioned kind of in passing there, but I'm sure a lot of people were asking, and as they're watching this, is the Old Testament coming out? And so, as we talked about offline, that's gonna be quite an undertaking.
Yeah. So when I was talking to B&H, so Andy McLean at B&H, he's the guy. He's my contact. He's the guy that's in charge of their Bibles and reference, and as this project got underway and as he started to see what we were doing, Andy was like, we need to do an Old Testament. And I was like, Andy, you're going to kill me. It's too hard. Like a part of me was just like, this is too hard. I know the amount of work it's going to take, and just the complexity here is it's just out of control, complicated. And I was reluctant, but then as the volume came out, it really dawned on me, I need to do this. I need to make this happen, because this is a long conversation, but the church has not read the New Testament in light of the Old very well. And the church has also not read the Old Testament in the Old Testament not very well. That, in other words, most people just, when they read the Bibles, they just go, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers. You see this, they go down the line sequentially, and they essentially read the Bible piecemeal, as though it's just pieces and that are all glued together, but that's not how it works. This is a drama. These books are connected. We can read in the prophets that they are picking up things that are in the Pentateuch, that they are picking up things in Joshua and Judges, and sometimes they invert them. They purposefully invert them. It's called irony. We can see their use of Scripture, and that needs to be charted. That needs to be, if you were to look in commentaries, go deep in the commentaries, you'll see some of that there.
Yeah.
But study Bibles don't do it. Bibles cross-references are kind of there, but they're very confusing. Some of the cross-references are good. Some of them aren't good. It's the Wild West.
Yeah.
So the time has come to just create something that's user-friendly, that cuts through all of this, that's evangelical, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So we've got to do it.
Yeah, for sure. So when I'm also interested in just as somebody who's written books and published books and traditionally published and self-published, and I just know the process of doing that. When did you first come to Lifeway? Like, how long was this process?
Not long, for 3 years, just over 3 years. So I publish, so the books that I mainly do are biblical theology, commentaries, like this, I publish in this space over here. Bibles, they have their own space. They are like different things. So most people don't think that, but they really are different divisions, different people, different spaces. It's a whole different animal. So I am not in the Bible space. So when I went to publishers, now I work almost with all the publishers, but when I went to their Bible divisions, I'm like, hey, I've got an idea. They're like, this is crazy. Like they're just not in. They were not. I don't think that. I'll be honest with you. I'm not quite sure that they understood what I was trying to do. I think that's 80% of the problem. So this is funny. So Tom Schreiner, he's a friend of mine. Tom worked on the CSB translation committee, and so I was like, well, hey, Tom. I need somebody at Lifeway who's in charge of their Bibles. I need to reach out to them because I have an idea. So Tom gave me Andy's name. I emailed Andy. Andy never returned my email. I'm like, come on, at least say no. But you've got to tell me no. Otherwise, I'm just going to keep pressing. I got to hear it. So I didn't hear from Andy for like a month. So I went to his social media, I went to his Twitter profile, and I messaged him. I was like, Andy, I sent you an email. You may not like my proposal, but let me know that you don't let me know that you don't like it. At least be honest with me. Just tell me you don't like it, and I'll move on. And he emails me back, and he's like, I'm so sorry. This was in my spam folder. I totally missed it. I really like what you're trying to do. Let's talk about it. And so that was 3 years ago, and here we are.
Wow.
But Lifeway was great.
The first plug at this ended up in spam.
Yes, that's exactly. Isn't that funny? And it ended up in spam. But just because of who I am, Keith, I'm like, I am going to just keep pushing. And I think, it really is one of those things where if you think you have a good idea and other people don't believe you, you just kind of keep going. Like you just keep pushing until you make it happen. That's really what happened with this one.
That's great. And I love it. I was very, very shocked when they sent me an email and told me that the Bible was coming. I was expecting to get an envelope with a Bible in it, and I didn't realize they were going to send me all 4 editions of the Bible. So
look at that. You got quite the library.
I know. I'm like, got it up. So for people that are watching this, these are available now. The New Testament, the Old Testament will be out at some point. Not, it's if you're interested in this after watching this, don't say I'm just going to wait until the Old Testament comes out, because it's not coming out next week. And,
no, it's not. No. It's definitely not coming.
For those of you that really like a hardcover, there's a hardcover edition, and then there are 2 of the leather touch editions that kind of feel like leather. I really like it, and the ones that we're giving away, there are going to be 3 winners for, you can, again, as I said at the beginning of this video, you can enter in the description below. They've given me 3 different ones to give away. And there are the blue leather touch is what they're doing. And then for those of you that like real leather, there is a real leather edition as well.
I like the leather one. That's my favorite.
Yeah.
It feels really good. It lays really good. The problem is that if you look at the ribbons for the leather, do you see it's red and black? Yeah. But if you look at the ribbons for the hardback, it's blue and green to go with it. So I hope that when they reprint it, I hope that they switch the ribbons out, because I really like the blue and green ribbons.
Yeah, the idea of the blue and green. Plus, as somebody from Seattle, I mean, the Seahawks, the Mariners,
Seahawks,
the Sounders,
you guys had a good.
And blue, man.
I know you even had your retro. I saw was it? What game was it? It was the Seahawks versus. It was just this weekend. They had the vintage uniform on.
Yeah. When we just went into Washington and they had the old ones.
Yes.
I was waiting to see Steve Largent in the stands or something.
I know, because I grew up with those uniforms. I like those uniforms. Yeah, I guess it was against the Commanders, right? Yeah, those uniforms are great.
Yeah, for sure. All right, well, Ben, thank you so much for your persistence in continuing to press on through the spam folder.
You've got
creating something that I truly, again, as I'm not just blowing smoke because you're sitting here in front of me. It's really something that I think that what you have created is going to help bridge that gap for so many people who know that the Old Testament is important and feel like it's too much work to make the connection. And so making that bridge of, even if what I found as I was reading it is, being kind of the Bible nerd that I am, to be able to go and read all these things and go look up these and all that and do the deep dive. But then there were some parts where I just decided to just read it. And even just the times when I didn't dive deep into all the references, to just even see the blue and go, oh, this is an Old Testament quotation, and to see the green and go, oh, he's talking about the Old Testament, that almost just gave the significance and the weight and the authority of the Old Testament, that the New Testament authors knew what they were talking about. And, so for me, even just the seeing of the color when I didn't go look it up, was still just, I don't know, brought a different kind of weight.
And that's right. And if you notice, Keith, very often when you'll have like weird expressions in the New Testament, they'll be in green, because these weird expressions are from the Old Testament. Very often, it's like, wait, this phrase is awkward, or it's weird, or it's using words that just don't make a whole lot of sense. But you realize, oh, wait, that's because the author is invoking maybe an odd detail in the Old Testament, or a story, or just he's playing around with something, and it tends to be in like using odd phrases.
Yeah. Well, this was great. Well, Ben. Next time I'm in Mississippi, I'll look you up. Next time you're in Seattle, coffee's on me.
Yeah, it'll be. Yeah, I don't know if I have any plans to go to Seattle anytime soon, but it's always a great place to go and to hang out. We were there for July 4th several years ago, and I was amazed at how excited people get about July 4th in Seattle.
Yeah, well, that's because it's the first week of the year that it's sunny.
Maybe that has.
So, if you're going to plan a trip to Seattle, you're not going to want to do it for the next 7 months. You're going to.
No, you don't. No, you are not.
Come back in July or August. We'll go sit by the lake and hang out.
That's right.
All right. Well,
hey,
Ben,
thank you so much
for being on Bible Talk. It was great getting to know you, and thanks again for creating something that is just truly fantastic. And Godspeed on the Old Testament.
Yeah, we'll see. I've seen some early drafts of some of the stuff, and it looks really, really good. I think if you think that the New Testament is radical, or reading the New Testament in this way is radical, just wait until you read the Old Testament, because it's it's fundamental to what it's doing. So I'm really excited about it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. All right, everyone. Well, thanks for joining us, and we will see you on the next episode of Bible Talk. All right, bye-bye.